Welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. As we were chit-chatting, if you didn't tune in, we have an episode, Empowered Feminine Reveal, and that one is about 40 minutes. It's important if you do want to follow along because it's a continuation, but you don't have to. So, Empowered Feminine Reveal, surprise, I am a healthy, self-worth, emotionally mature, and available person who knows love, okay? Also, Jesus taught us how to walk as healthy, self-worth, emotionally mature, and available people who love. We're cherishing our lovely Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God in the Christian, Catholic, 5D mystic, enlightenment, soul age group way. And we're okay with those in cloaks, keeping the 3D, 4D, wherever it is that unhealthy, self-worth people want to stay. Now, FYI, for those of you who tuned in to the episode, but in general, please do not connect the dots anywhere. Do not make assumptions, because I speak in a way of sharing a theme and a story, but I'm not making, like I said at a certain point, name Terry Real, then I mentioned self-loathing, and I don't know Terry Real's story. He's a good therapist. He's good at helping men to become real men because he knows how to tell you about what it is to become emotionally available. Now, for him, being emotionally mature is, what was the word he used? Lonely, which made me think of the distorted feminines who go around thinking and telling you that you lose people when you're spiritually awakening, kundalini awakening, and all this other stuff. But he is smart. They are distorted. He's giving a perspective that is grounded in science, and they are not. And so my interpretation of Terry Real is not anything about it being wrong or right. It was more of, he talks about being a functional adult as something lonely. Not true for a functional inner child adult who's an empowered feminine, because I didn't lose my 3-year-old, but I didn't lose a relationship with the depths of my emotional plane. He gained his in time from getting out of toxic patriarchy, emotional stuff. So he can feel lonely as a man, and as many emotionally mature men have shared with me, because their peers are assholes, quote unquote. No, they're actual physical, wanting to choke a woman and making it look like every man needs to actually have, being interviewed by women. Yeah, okay. So when you see toxic anything, it'll be women and men who are all distorted feminines. They're all masculines. They don't know love and they don't know emotional availability because they didn't go to therapy and they don't want to. And towards the end, I also mentioned something about therapy, not needing it. Obviously, every journey is different. So for me, I didn't need it because I didn't lose Maria. And those who do need it, they go to Patrick Tian, tune on into that episode again. And as he shares why you need a therapist, it's because you're going to reparent your inner child. And then you're going to become a higher self. Then you're going to know empowered feminine. But you might do this. Sacred, EMDR, child parts work, somatic, sensory motor. Yes. But anyway, I want life now. So that's why we have an avoidant on screen who's saying she's not going to do therapy because people are fucked up. We got a Zen master with laundry. Any emotionally unavailable human beings are going to have an excuse for why they're going to stay in their armored, shut in, eventually body and not get bilaterally integrated. So when you meet non-bilaterally integrated human beings, you're going to play nice and they won't know what hit them because nothing hit them. Because they're going to say it's dangerous to have no emotion. So when they meet equanimity and neutrality and they meet wisdom and enlightenment, well, let's just put it this way. We're okay with them. Whatever their behavior will be, I'm a state of safety. And that's how it's going to stay because Jesus taught me. Forgive, they don't know Maria. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Don't cast a stone, Maria. They are brothers and sisters. Remember, Maria, they are their own 0-1-year-old. They have their own body and their own 3-year-old and their own 7-year-old. And if they want to stay insecurely attached with unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, which involve the adaptive child pattern, excuse me, you're confusing shit, interrupting you with unbridled self-expression, thinking they're right already because they only use the left. And then let's just see, bringing up what they're going to project, which would be, let me think, my facade friend. I'm going to use my facade friend. Why not? So my facade friend, I could bring in and other people. So when they are miserable, my facade friend, as I'm at a funeral, writes me, are you happy now? About what? These are within the 5 years where I wasn't speaking to him. She's cheating on me. I was like, you should know me better. I follow Jesus, Holy Spirit, God, and I don't have envy, jealousy, spite, or low self esteem, or wanting you to be miserable in any way, shape, or form. These are not the exact words I said to him, but I said, you should know me better. I don't want your misery, and I didn't know, and now that I do, I'm sorry for you, but I don't know why you're telling me this, and I'm at a funeral, so please. This is a friend who treated me like a little piece of shit, and who, instead of saying, I'm so sorry, because you gave me some good advice and I didn't listen to you because I didn't want to, and then I went and got myself in a relationship where I was treated like a little piece of shit, but I'm not going to admit any of that. I'm going to get passive aggressive and just write to you something like that, which is why, again, I don't bother doing any of this with anyone. I'm just doing it on screen to help you all understand how easy it is for an empowered feminine to spot an idiot a mile away and how they're passive aggressive. It's not passive aggressive. You want to hear not this one's funny. This one, no, I'm not going to do that one. That one's just even more sad than anything. So when you meet men or women or those who are desperate, they don't go to Patrick Tiahan again. I don't have to do anything because it's bad manners to say, you need therapy, you need therapy. Also, those are the codependent human beings who are martyr superiors. They want to control the situation. And I don't want to control. Empowered feminines, I'm not going to take your free will and capture you. No, I'm going to say, as I mentioned, my friend, I don't want your misery. And that's because you don't have to believe in me. I don't care if you believe what I'm speaking because I can't prove it. And by the way, if we're friends and you don't believe that I want your well-being, obviously we're not friends. And see, I won't allow anybody in my friend circle that doesn't love me. And as you heard, in my friend circle, there are people who tease me about drugs. I love them just the way they are. And I know that teenagers don't know how to be cool because they're not getting therapy when they're grown-ups and actively using substances in order to get through life, which is why and that energy body will not see the light of day because they didn't go and tend to their inner well-being. Like the avoidant who got on screen and said people are fucked up and she's going to continue her journey. People are not fucked up. People are people, and either they're whole or they're not. And if they want wholeness, we're in the year 2024, they can get healed. And Jesus taught us a path. And the ones who distort his message, I have nothing to say because I know that God is benevolent. And once again, trauma is painful. So if people choose to disregard bilateral integration, they will choose to disregard that they have a past self that is leading with maladaptive behaviors, fucking drinking, drugging, eating, whatever it is that you're doing, self-talk, which is bullshit, self-loathing, critic, ruminating, the Zen master ruminates, bunch of people on screen. So the feminines in these recent days, this is what's been coming up. We got our power back because I'm an empress. Okay, so when an inner child begins to get this way, you're going to spot them like a hawk. They're all distorted in ways that are not impressive. Not impressive. No. They lead with their visceral. The squirrel from Cusco land, I hand you. Codependent martyr superiors. I don't do well with any distorted feminines. Then there is a difference between when I'm with a masculine as a feminine versus the active, distorted feminine. And this is how I'm going to break it down to you, because as an embodied feminine, my lovely counterparts are the ones that I know I'm here to share with you unconditional love, the safety behavior of here's how you do it, how you do life, and how you can choose. As for the feminines, they are very upset when a feminine doesn't take their side, and I don't take sides. Not with people who are vindictive with a vengeful tooth and don't actively follow what Jesus taught me. And that they then don't go and say, but we're special. We're anointed. We suffer more. And then they keep doing this shit and you're like, okay, I can't do much because the minute I start telling them they're not suffering, it's going to be like, and I don't want to deal with any of that. I got called emotionless by my teenage girlfriends. I'm not emotionless. I just don't do drama, which is why the fancy lady in the suit proves my point. And when I stare at you all, I'm remembering every moment of all these women and men who are jealous. They tell each other what to do, and I'm like, where's the human beings who know how to handle having a good time? What the fuck? You're all miserable. And now I know why. And really, anyone who doesn't like to hear there's a solution to your misery, please there's a Zen master. You can go and have fun with him as he tells you. Nobody can be enlightenment, because that's the minute of truth. You want to hear what you want to hear. Like the dude in my class who didn't accept integration takes a certain amount of time. You don't want the truth. You want what you want to hear. And there's so many voices out there. You're going to find the ones who tell you what you want to hear. And that's why in Italy, in the southern Italian Naples, we learned how to just say yes, because there's a saying that idiots just tell them yes so that they can be happy. That's how ego works. And I learned how not to do this yes thing, because it's stop. So there you go again. You learn how to handle any teenager because they're fun to be around. And that's because I'm not influenced by them. So they can, you're stupid. Yeah, I am stupid sometimes. Not always though. Order Melchizedek. Let me read this. We have a special episode and series on the audio podcast version. You can go, their channeled guidance, food for thought. We might have this if we have subscribers that want this one for our YouTube channel. Channeled guidance within mind, this oracle, of course, FYI. Okay, gateway activation. So Melchizedek, whose name means king of righteousness, is the first high priestess mentioned in the Bible, the one who initiated all the great teachers that followed him. And then goes on, mentions several Abrahamic texts, including Dead Scrolls, Sea Scrolls, also Kabbalist Zohar. He is an ancient gatekeeper of the light who is dedicated to helping all those walking the spiritual path to take the initiatory steps to align with the light. The best way to describe this great being is as a wizard. And I won't be reading the rest of it because, as always, 4D likes to do things in ways that I don't. So it's not good or bad. It's that I need to review text, and I don't always. When we have our subscription-based model content, I'll be able to have time before we get on to an episode and just do it extensively, right, and all that. But right now, I'm giving you a gist of a channeled guidance and message and integrating with the conversation, by the way. But yeah, the 4D, they tend to have a very, they're not independent lovers yet. That's how I'm going to have to break it down to you. So they don't love themselves first. They don't know how to be a 1-year-old, 3-year-old that has a brain and a mind and a self of their own. And they need therapy first so that they can then say, I want more personal development self-help because I do want to feel not like the Zen master has laundry. That's the one say, you can't be that. You're pretending. You know what? Like the boy, you're toxic positive because you're always smiling. Not really, but I do know emotions. As I explained to somebody, I don't use my temporal junction. So I don't do suffering. I do emotions. It's different. The Zen master could do mindfulness and mindset, but I don't know. I think his title gave him a big ego, and he's a spiritual ego and bypasser, like anybody else who actively still complains about emotions and then wants to use the title Zen master. Or anybody who really is in anything of spiritual and doesn't know how to turn the other cheek and be friends with all and says, I don't go out because I'm an intuitive mystic and therefore I perceive the entire room. And they're all awful. Those low frequencies. Huh. Interesting. Sure. Okay, you're not anywhere near a high frequency, that's for sure. So the order of Melchizedek, which was mentioned by Jesus in the New Testament, is a divine order of very high frequency light beings, angels, and masters who are working together as an energetic force dedicated to lighting up and out. Bringing greater balance of masculine and feminine energies to the earth. Okay, so when they talk to you about outshining darkness and light, please, expert yogis, expert spirituality, human beings, expert anyone with their brain, mind, and self owns the human secondary consciousness, which that Zen master doesn't own. So him in awareness, maximum uncertainty, thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, doesn't know how to handle, oh, look, I'm a human being. I might die right now, and everything I believe in might be completely not true. When I said to you all in the other episode that I don't really believe, and I do believe, but not in the way of a kid, meaning that I won't discount and say sciences are lying about the brain of yours and the fear receptor. And so, no, there is a demon in you. No, there's not. There's no demon possessing anyone. This is what I meant. And my guides know that, which is why when I'm channeling and downloading messages from Maria, Maria, I will have two sides of a coin talking to myself, which is also why it's always great to have a mediator, like when I got to do my hypnotherapy session, because I know this about myself. And so I know that anyone who's going to be a messenger for my channel will be welcome, because I'm able to consistently maintain science and spirituality, and I always do, because that's how my brain works. Is I'm like, truth, 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 truth for me, but really not for you. And there you go. So as they're sharing with me guidance for myself, as I got some lovely downloads for myself, again, these days are special to me. I was like, yes, I believe you, but I also know that I could be just working through my 0 1 year old, because we have resources. That's the way the scientists explain it, the mental health professionals. Okay, so just FYI, remember, do not make assumptions when you're hearing me. Do not connect the dots. Do not do any linear stuff. Shut your left mode up, and if you don't have the capacity and you don't want to, it's okay then. Just stop it. Don't listen to it. It's not for you. But if you're going to become a community member, I'm going to allow myself to talk to you directly. Don't connect the dots. And remember that I use words wrong. So if you have questions, you write me, hey, Maria, what did you mean by that word? Hey, Maria, would you mind? I understood this. So you just ask your questions, and I'll be happy to try and remember what I was talking about. And then let you know you're taking it out of context. It was supposed to, or I just get jibber jabber because I get all excited. It all depends. Okay, so we're here to have a good time. And to do, yes, the masculine, feminine. So the members of the Order of Melchizedek are Jesus Christ, Archangel Michael, Archaea Faith, and Mother Mary. And they connect. Well, you can connect. We're not going to do that part. So the spiritual egos, distorted feminines, they identify way too much with these words, and then they go and tell you that you're badass, and to get on screen and actually be badass. So let me pause to contemplate how I want to handle continuing and closing us out. In no way, shape, or form do I personally ever intend to say I know all the truths, nothing but no, not at all. But I will speak always with a firmness that I get presented by the individuals who don't have empowerment, which is why I'm not going to be trying to continue expanding it today. These are special episodes, and as I move forward, I have a community, and we all have one, and mine are independent lovers and thinkers and people who know how to ask questions. If you don't, that's not something that I'm going to be invested in. And I know when I'm handling a kid, because I know how they will come at me, because I've met them before. And I'm the same 3-year-old I was when I was a 3-year-old, and I'm the same human being now. I have a whole self. She's a differentiated self. And then I have my relationship with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. It wasn't taken away from me when I got clairs. I just knew that some people that I love will spread rumors and say bullshit things, but I also have humans who are afraid of me, and I don't believe it. I don't. The first time my friend told me this about one person, I'm like, no, it's not true. She's just lying. And then when it happened with a second friend of hers, I was like, okay, I think her friends and I need to not hang out, because I'm starting to think that she wasn't lying about the first friend, and that I don't understand why people would be afraid of me. And that's true. I still don't understand it, which is why I have my herd, who always can have my back and then allow me to hear Maria, let me show you, but by speaking to me and not changing me. No, they stand with me side by side in my corner, and they don't interrupt me, and they don't actually stop me, and they don't do no. They stand with me, and they share with me in private, like I did with my facade friend. Okay, let me let you in on a fun fact. FYI, just so you know, here's what I observed, or here's what I can tell you. So they will know me so well to then also know circumstances that I'm surrounded by, and then give me, these are empowered feminines and masculines. Here's how this, let me share with you knowledge that I know will empower you, so that when you're by yourself with people who don't know you, you might be able to, because repetition, again, we all have a child brain. So when you're listening, repetition and time will sink in, which is why I appreciate my herd. The herd that loves me just for how I am, knows that I won't change and that I can't, and none of us do. we all have the temperament. So temperament, and what I'm learning about PDP from Dr. Daniel Siegel. One second. We'll talk about it throughout the week. But in the meantime, your attachment, you want to get earned secure attachment if you don't already have it. And that means there's your 1-year-old, all your child parts asleep, integration of the brain, bilateral, vertical. And so when awareness strikes, you're not like, oh my God, I have laundry. So thinking and feeling becomes easier if you put mindfulness, mindset, and mindset practices into the picture, but you are a person who can access your empowered feminine, okay? So you need to be able to contain this, as Peter Levine would point out. Otherwise, you're doing what Cuscos do all day long. Your left and right don't work together unless you're the one who imposes on yourself. And that's where I'm going to have to put it for you all, because I don't know your stories. So you impose on yourself to know my emotions and thoughts are not irrefutable facts. I'm going to pause my left. I'm going to pause my right. I'm going to allow myself to breathe, be in a room with a person, okay, and talk. So you don't heal trauma with the wrong people. You stay away from negative and stupid people with low self-esteem and unhealthy self-soothing behaviors, because they will always fall on those. And you will limit yourself. Okay, so FYI again, I'm here with people who want to put into practice personal development and self-help, just if you're new. And that's why you come here after the therapy or with the good therapist, or you didn't need the therapy and you love to do thoughts, emotions, and not to have a narrative, but to have a good time with mystics, scientists, all of it together. And nobody's a demon. We all have smart brains. You're teachable. You close the door on the illusion of there being demon. You know that universe is in all of us, because we can talk about it as dark matter, dark energy. The quantum physicists talk about it, and somatic therapists talk about it. So this, your rest and renewal, Garden of Venus, heaven in the body. No trauma stuff still lingering, none of that dysregulation, and that's where we're going to start from. That's an empowered feminine. And so when I see the distorted feminines, they're all masculines. They don't know love because they don't have internal secure attachment. They also don't have emotional availability because they play Pinocchio's game on that island. So what I've seen, those who will resonate with 3D, 4D, they won't be here because they won't like what I have to say. That's okay. They don't have to. Like when people don't like that the environment is threatened and they disregard that data. But like the ones who create bullshit and disinformation, okay? So we have smart human beings who are caring about saying, okay, let's try and help people to understand. Reality means that you know that anything that comes out of the mouth of anyone can be falsifiable. Reality also means you don't discredit all of science and say, oh no, there's no moon, there's flat. I mean, really, grounded in reality. 5D mystics don't go around saying to people that we are needed for the earth to be in a 5D frequency. Because the reason those spiritual egos are where they're at is because they took a narrative like the ones with the ancient cloaks, and they're continuing. So spiritual ego will be spotted by the person of true faith, by the person that's truly spiritual, by the person who connects to our oneness consciousness. And so that is where we're going to use some more cards here. I shared divine masculines, but also the divine feminines that are distorted. They give love a bad name. So anyone who, again, is a distorted feminine will be distorted to an empowered feminine. To the ones who resonate with that message, they will be taken like the fancy woman and man in suit and applauded and praised. Because rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation, and shame are what lead them. And their charges are what lead them. And like the attachment coaches who are not promoting secure attachment to their followers because they say it's boring, they continue to be like that avoidant, a 16-year-old in their visceral. And basically, this is that part of where energetically I can tell you, I completely know the energy. And I think of men and women that I've met that have it. It's a 3-year-old broken-hearted human being without their 1-year-old with a 16-year-old, as I'm going to break it down. And their 16-year-old is leading the room, which reminds me of the same unreliable, unhealthy, immature, and completely idiotic adolescents that I met. And like I said, I was an idiot too, but I got to learn. And like I also said in that other episode, I was informed, like all of those adolescents, by the smart teachers and the ones of us who had good parents, because some didn't. We all got told about this thing called peer pressure, and then the healthy ones of us got to get given enough of an imprint, and that means we didn't have an insecure adolescent. Please, so pause. The adolescent is when you get to choose your second allo parenting group, Dr. Daniel Siegel. I learn things from smart people. I won't always remember who and how and da da da, but if you ask me, I'll go look through my notes. So, as he's explaining, and other smart therapists in other courses, we have a brain that works a certain way. It becomes an adolescent brain. It has a whole chemistry. I love my adolescent essence because I still have her. My 3-year-old's whole, my 1-year-old's whole, my adolescent is whole. And so we have the essential spark, social engagement, and then there's novelty and creative expression. So I don't get addicted to shit, as I'm not a person who's vulnerable to addiction, because I own my nervous system, and I own my brain, and I own my mind, and I own my sense of self, and I'm not subject to any of that. I was a smoker for a long, long time. And I've shared the story before, I'll share it again. And I remember one guy I dated, he didn't like that I was smoking, so he made a big deal out of it. And he, like a lot of other human beings, make a big deal out of things. Well, I'll accept to say I'm stupid. I will also accept leave me the fuck alone and let me do my thing. As I said, healthy, self-worth people will keep themselves within a little wiggle room. If you're healthy, you'll know what that wiggle room is. You won't fall off. You're going to notice when you are, and you're going to be like, okay, let me talk to myself. That's in a grown-up way, not in a shitty way. So in the meantime, this dude, he's telling me that I'm addicted, and I'm saying, no, I'm not. I like my cigarettes. And so he makes a bet, and I say, fine. So I say, okay, I bet you that for a month I will not smoke at all. But once the month is over, I'm going to smoke again because I like smoking. That you can talk about me as stupid. I don't give a shit. So me and him, we make a bet, and we dated for a month or 2 months. I don't know. It ended at a certain point. But in the meantime, one time I was really wanting a cigarette, and a friend of mine was like, well, you can hide it from him. He won't know. And I'm like, no. And even if he doesn't believe that I didn't smoke, I will know that I will have smoked, and I will have lost the bet. That's bullshit. No, I can handle. I'll wait. I just was saying I want to smoke. Here's where you know. See, an empowered feminine will want empowered feminines. And that is not an empowered feminine. That's a person. Go tune into the other episode as a person who doesn't have the capacity to stand their ground. And the other example, I stopped venting, and I asked for support at a certain point. And none of my friends supported me. You're human. You have to. No, I don't have to vent. I know I don't want to vent. I'm asking you for help. Okay, so healthy, self-worth human beings, the 5D collective that I'm talking to, is about being, again, ego smart, ego independent. And while, yeah, smoking can be stupid, I enjoyed it. I don't have anything to say about not quitting until the time came when it did happen. And when it happened, I went from one day to the next, as I knew I would, without smoking. And to this day, I don't miss it. I didn't miss it then. I was like, ha. But I also know I'm a smoker, which is why I don't go and smoke a cigarette. However, here's where, let's just say when we're in crowds, right? Sometimes things happen. So sometimes I have been like, as somebody's offered. And in one of these occasions, one of my loved ones, and the reaction is one from a child part. And I'm not going to share all the details, but I remember the moment. And immediately was like, no, like when somebody's going, no. So as I see what I see, and I know why I'm seeing it, and I know what's being, I know the entire thing. I say, okay, no, never mind, and I leave it alone for 2 reasons again, because the reality is I love my cigarettes. And so we are creatures of habit. This is that other part. As I said, we're all creatures of habit. And I'm not going to say I'm a sucker for smoking, but as I was explaining somebody yesterday, I think it was, cigars are a different story, because I will maybe 1, 2, 3, and no, 1 a day, and that's it. You can't smoke more than 1. You don't inhale. So there's a whole different process. But being an ex-smoker, enjoying my tobacco, still enjoying it, that's why the cigars, I enjoy the tobacco flavor. I would be stupid to pick it up, because this is the moment of truth. Cigarettes I used for a lot of different reasons. Enjoyment really comes after, because the minute you smoke, it's like, okay, so any of us can know about that, right? Like with wine, yes, now I enjoy it, but it began to be enjoyable at the beginning. It's not that big of a deal. And when you watch smart people, they teach you about how that works, which is why we have a lot of science out there saying, when you begin alcohol, I watched this video, it talked about how it affects your amygdala or whatever. No, that brainstem, something like that, back here, and then it calls for more and stuff like that. So the reality is we have explanations that can keep people in the middle, but it's together that we keep each other in check. And the ones of us who had the opportunity to begin life with healthy self-worth origins, those first 3 years of life matter, and the first 7 matter, and then the adolescent matters. Out of an adolescent, this is when you turn to that alloparenting crew. I picked mine because I spotted liar, liar, pants on fire, liar, 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 bad, 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 bad. I won't say bad, but you're unhealthy. I choose my herd, smart, healthy, doing things the right way because we have a future to build. And I chose my first relationship and my crew. And I was happy. And to this day, I'm happy because when I looked to the past, we had a good first 4 years of dating. A very beautiful human being putting to the side the cheating stuff, which is ridiculous. No trouble, no talking shit, none of what other people that I know, as they got older, they end up realizing I spent 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is, with a person who treated me like a piece of shit. I didn't need that relationship. It didn't bring to me, it brought something called a bunch of shit that now I want to get over, and I want to have a healthy relationship. So that's the part of why, for me, I look at the past. There's nothing that I have to say negative about what I chose, and that's an empowered feminine. The distorted ones, so right now, they're all on a high, the 4D. I'm trying to focus in on the 4D because they're mystics, particularly the ones that I've mentioned that are telling you women empower by themselves. That's like a whole bunch of other things we'll talk about in the week, but let me show you. So number one, you and I are our own tree of life. Remember that rabbi that I talk about? So he separates feminine and masculine into genders because that's exactly where anybody who hasn't yet understood how you can own your own self by becoming a whole self. So the book Polysecure and Polywise. I'm still finishing up Polywise, but Polysecure, Jessica Fern, she shares her thoughts about why polyamory, in her opinion, makes people move towards internal secure attachment. I beg to differ because internal secure attachment is a journey of your therapy with a therapist and your choice to become yourself. From your child parts, that means you believe, because people like to say it, you believe in the child parts thing. You believe in the attachment thing. I find it ridiculous to have to use these words, but this is exactly why, again, 5D mystic here. Woo-woo. And really, it's because I meet people every now and then. Oh, neuroscience. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. There's still demons in people's heads. No, it's thoughts, yes. And then there's altars, yes. And then there's therapists who can heal all that and help them. Okay, so your tree is yours, and the feminine is the body and the heart. And if you don't gain a relationship with your inner child and become a reparented version of yourself, you don't have a feminine that's empowered. You have a distorted feminine. And your mind, which will be the masculine, which will be the non-bilaterally integrated brain, guess what your left is doing? It's making up bullshit excuses like those teenagers and stuff like that. So you don't have an empowered self, okay? And let me grab this as well, because the masculine, when the rabbi explains what the masculine is, he says, infinite potential for life, and nothing comes of that until they're captured, contained, given limitations, and nurtured. Guess who nurtures you? Your body. Guess who gives you limitations? Your body again, but that's only if you know how to regulate in a safety nervous system. Otherwise, you got torture in the heart and that half self. Remember the song Billy Joel? I've been walking in the night. Da, 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 da. So when you don't have secure attachment, the way that the therapists have all explained it, it's a longing and a torture, which is why a child can begin maladaptive behaviors as a 6-year-old. And there's many different types besides sucking of a thumb or something else. I have a woman who I met. I'm going to share some of that. And here's where this is something that I want to focus in on for a minute before we move to storytelling, and then I'll probably let you all go. But Earth Star activation, anchoring, grounding, action, Isis energy. So when you see distorted feminines telling you that you have a dark side and your dark side can come out, yeah, okay, this is the part of what darkness and light. Darkness is actually the wisdom of those who are able to use their secondary human consciousness, unlike the Zen master who doesn't, and not suffer the obliviousness of unknown. Okay, and that's from your body, not the left mode. The left mode shut it up, and from within you, not feel despair because of unknown, like existential physics from Sabine. She shares that there are people who are completely devastated once she's explained everything because now they don't have purpose. That's because they have purpose in a belief. When you have purpose, because use my human name and faith is not my purpose, it's a faith. I have it in here in my bones, like I told a teenage boyfriend. It doesn't get broken. Why? Because it's not about my bones. It's about a feeling, and it's about a thought, and it's about an experience, and that's where mystics come in. So when somebody disrespects my mysticism or my faith, I don't say anything because you don't have to have faith. I do. You don't have to be mystic. I'm the mystic. And you don't have to respect me as a human being. You can be the actual disrespectful asshole you will be. You won't be an asshole. You're just going to be a non-bilaterally ignorant human being. Who? I mean, really. Medium ever. There's this one dude. And he's a scientist. And I'm like, okay, dude, wow, you're exaggerating it. Like the feminines who get on screen and say, you have a dark side, and then they go on to tell you about how badass you're going to be as an unapologetically rude person. Well, let me think. No, not really. That's not a feminine. No, you're just a distorted feminine with a squirrel attitude and a Cusco attitude who now thinks you're badass because you got powers. You don't have powers. You have clairs. And your amygdala is leading you, and you're picking up in an energetic sphere that any person with clairs can pick up on, and you're giving a message from ancient time. And you're also using your cloak, Elsa, to pretend to be something you're not, which is why you're always going to spot a masculine, because they're always going to bow down to their master. And that's the minute that an empowered feminine doesn't look at a person who's bowing down to anybody in the way of, wow, let me look up to you. No, I'm going to look away, because the minute I look at you, I'm going to like, okay, you're bound down to shame. I understand that you're not empowered yet. You have the free will to choose your stuff. I'm going to walk out now because it's better that I don't look at you. It's better that I leave. So I don't actually have anything to say about that except for one thing. There's this moment of my life where I was like, you know what? It is a very good thing that I was not in any way, shape, or form anywhere near anyone, because I don't want to look at somebody the minute that I realize that you bow down to shame, that you bow down to cowardice, that you bow down to everything and anything, and you don't have integrity, because I won't be able to help myself. Because when you have integrity, you don't look at cowards in a way of saying, let me look up at you. It's of, okay, do you want to talk about this? Because this is completely off character. This is not who you're meant to be. This is not who you are. This is so much more than what you even realize. So the empowered feminine doesn't go and get shitty on screen and pissy and, talk about shit that is... At least the ones of us who spot them. Again, the ones who don't spot this, it's a very different story, and I'm going to have to cut us short in a minute. But again, not a competition. Either people heal their trauma, become their grown-up, or they don't lose their child and they stay their grown-up, and that's when you're going to find compassion, kindness, integration of the brain, restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. You'll keep talking about it. But you won't find them all alone. You won't find them talking shit about, we won't pick the bear. We're picking the man. And we're picking the women. We're picking the smart ones. We're picking the ones who know how to use this, and then how to have a face-to-face. Come on. It's not hard. It's not hard to have a face-to-face. That's why, as I said, for me, what I've realized throughout the years is God and universe and Akash have kept me away from people that if I had not been away... I would have looked at them in ways that I would never have been able to take back, because you can't pretend to look at somebody and say, I respect you, when you're completely, okay, I'm seeing something that I don't know how to hide because my 3-year-old eyes are seeing something that's really, really awful. And it's not just a 3-year-old though. I'm a grown woman who has seen a lot. And we'll close on this. There's a friend of mine. I love this friend. And he's always spotting shit like this when I'm looking in ways and making funny jokes. And twice this has happened. And I'm like, okay, I need to watch this guy because he can be upset at times. And so he can do things that might not be nice. And I don't want to be mean. And the times that he spotted this look that I have, it's because I'm like, okay, liar, you really are not in a good spot, you know, but it's not a good thing to point out because, again, it's none of my business. And I don't need to be shaming anyone because that's not going to help them to get online with healthy self-worth, women, men, and days. It's only if they want it. And that's the real deal. So you can't impose anybody to become a healthy self-worth man, woman, or they, and to want to actually have a bilaterally and vertically integrated brain, and there you go. But there are the ones of us who are here, so again, come join us, mystics and not. And we're going to talk some more about this in the future, like next week or this week. We'll find out. But in the meantime, thanks for stopping by.